You must stop being the observer. It may have been useful to you when you just started your journey. However, now it is what holds you back from true awakening. You see, in the journey of awakening, a subtle yet profound realization awaits those who dare to tread the path less taken. It's a journey that begins with the concept of being the observer, a role many of us adopt as a starting point in our spiritual exploration. But what if I told you that this very identity of being the observer, which once felt like a revelation, might be the veil that obscures the ultimate truth of our existence? Let's start by examining the role of the observer. Initially, it acts as a powerful tool, granting us the ability to step back and watch our thoughts, emotions, and experiences with detachment. This detachment is liberating, offering a respite from the incessant chatter of the mind and the turmoil of emotions. It's like finding a calm eye in the storm of life. However, as we journey deeper, a critical question arises. Who is this observer? This question is not meant to be a mere intellectual puzzle. It's a key that unlocks a door to a profound understanding. The observer, upon closer inspection, appears as a construct, another identity that the mind clings to. It's as if, in our quest to find freedom, we've simply exchanged one set of chains for another. The observer becomes a subtle identity, a new persona that watches over everything else yet remains untouched and separate. It's a comfortable position, but comfort often breeds complacency. To illustrate this point, let's reflect on a simple yet profound parable. Imagine a river flowing seamlessly, its waters merging with the vast ocean. Now imagine if this river, in its journey, suddenly developed a sense of I, an observer that sees itself as separate from the ocean it's destined to merge with. This sense of separation, this I, is what the observer identity does to us. It keeps us from merging with the vastness of our true nature. Think of a philosopher like Meister Eckhart, who spoke of the soul's journey back to the divine essence. He emphasized the necessity of letting go of all images and concepts to experience the divine. In our context, the observer is such a concept, a subtle image that we must let go of to experience our true essence. The observer identity also limits our perception of reality. It's like looking through a lens that only captures a fraction of the vast panorama of existence. We see thoughts, emotions, and sensations, but we don't see the canvas on which they are painted, the pure, vibrant essence of consciousness itself. This consciousness is not a thing. It's the space in which everything arises and dissolves. But as long as we cling to the identity of the observer, we remain one step removed from this direct experience. So how do we move beyond this identity? It starts with recognizing that there is no real observer. This may sound paradoxical, but it's a truth echoed by mystics and sages throughout history. When you listen to a sound, there's just sound. When you feel an emotion, there's just the emotion. The listener, the feeler, the observer, these are just concepts, mental constructs without any independent existence. This understanding leads to a radical shift. Instead of perpetually observing, we begin to merge with our experiences. We become the sound, the emotion, the thought. This is not about losing ourselves, but finding ourselves in everything. In this state, there's no separation, no distance, just a vibrant dance of existence happening by itself. As you listen to these words, I invite you to ponder this shift. What does it mean to let go of the observer identity? How does it feel to not just observe the river of life, but to be the river itself? This is not an intellectual exercise, but an experiential journey. It's about stepping into the unknown, letting go of the familiar shores, and diving into the depths of our being. Now we must delve deeper into the nature of the observer concept in order to reach true awakening. This exploration requires us to travel back in time to the medieval era, where philosophers grappled with existential questions that resonate with our quest today. One such figure is St. Thomas Aquinas, a philosopher and theologian whose insights provide a unique lens through which to view our topic. Aquinas, in his quest for understanding the nature of existence, posited that to truly know something, one must become one with the object of knowledge. This profound insight nudges us towards an important realization in our current exploration. The separation created by the observer identity is an illusion, a barrier to true knowledge. Let's apply this medieval wisdom to our modern spiritual journey. The observer, as we've established, creates a sense of duality. A watcher and the watched, a subject and an object. This duality is deeply ingrained in our everyday experience. We say, "I am observing my thoughts," as if I and my thoughts are two distinct entities. But are they? Aquinas challenges us to look beyond this duality, to see that the knower and the known are one. This realization is not just a philosophical concept but a lived experience. When we observe a thought, for instance, there is an immediate intimate connection with that thought. There is no distance, no separation. The thought doesn't exist independently of our awareness of it. This is a radical departure from the observer identity, which maintains a safe distance from the observed. Furthermore, Aquinas' emphasis on the unity of the knower and the known invites us to reconsider our understanding of consciousness. Typically, we think of consciousness as something we possess, like an object, but in truth, consciousness is not an object. It is the very essence of our being. When we say, "I am conscious," it's not that I have consciousness. Rather, I am because of consciousness. This shift in understanding is pivotal in deconstructing the observer identity. But how does this philosophical insight translate into our daily spiritual practice? It invites us to engage with our experiences more intimately. When observing a thought or emotion, we don't remain aloof. We dive into it, understanding that the observer and the observed are not two but one. This doesn't mean losing ourselves in the thought or emotion. Rather, it's about realizing the inseparability of our awareness from the experience. We come to see the limitations of the observer identity more clearly. The identity which once seemed like a sanctuary now appears as a self-imposed exile from the richness of our experiences. We begin to understand that true awakening isn't about observing life from a distance. It's about participating in it fully without the intermediary of a separate observer. This participation doesn't mean losing discernment or wisdom. On the contrary, it leads to a more profound understanding of the nature of reality. As we dismantle the observer identity, we start to experience life in its raw, unfiltered form. This experience is not chaotic or overwhelming. It's a harmonious flow where the distinction between the observer and the observed dissolves into a symphony of existence. As we delve deeper into our spiritual journey, leaving the shores of the observer identity, we arrive at a profound realization. Consciousness, the very fabric of our existence, eludes the grasp of the mind and ego. Understand that consciousness cannot be comprehended in the usual ways we understand the world around us. To grasp this concept, let's first consider the nature of the mind and ego. The mind is an incredible tool adept at analyzing, categorizing, and conceptualizing. It navigates the world through a framework of thoughts, ideas, and beliefs. The ego, closely intertwined with the mind, constructs our sense of self, our identity. It thrives on differentiation, me versus the world. This differentiation is crucial for our physical and psychological survival, but it also creates a fundamental limitation, the illusion of separation. Consciousness, however, operates in a realm beyond this duality. It's the underlying reality of all experiences, the canvas on which the mind and ego paint their stories. But just as a canvas cannot be understood solely by studying the paintings on it, consciousness cannot be comprehended by the mind's analyses or the ego's constructs. Think of the vastness of the ocean. Can a single wave grasp the immensity of the ocean? Similarly, our thoughts and perceptions, like waves, arise from the vastness of consciousness but cannot contain it. This is not a shortcoming of the mind. It's simply a matter of different dimensions, different realms of existence. This realization has profound implications. It suggests that the ultimate truth of our being, the essence of who we are, cannot be captured in thoughts or concepts. The mind, which seeks to categorize and define, finds itself at a loss when confronted with the boundless nature of consciousness. It's like trying to capture the sky in a net. To understand consciousness, we must therefore transcend the usual tools of comprehension. This doesn't mean abandoning the mind or ego. Instead, it involves using them in their rightful place while recognizing their limitations. We begin to see the mind and ego as instruments in the symphony of our existence, not the conductors of it. How, then, do we approach consciousness? The key lies in direct experience. Consciousness is known not through thinking about it, but by being it. It's a knowing that is immediate and intimate, beyond the realm of intellectual analysis. This knowing is akin to the way you know you exist, not as a thought, but as a fundamental, undeniable experience. In this light, meditation and mindfulness practices take on a new meaning. They are not just tools for relaxation or stress relief. They are gateways to experiencing the ungraspable nature of consciousness. In moments of deep meditation or mindful presence, when the chatter of the mind subsides and the ego's grip loosens, glimpses of our true nature shine forth. With the knowledge we have acquired, it's crucial to understand the intricate role thoughts play in maintaining the observer identity. Thoughts are the architects of our inner world. They construct our reality, shape our perceptions, and define our sense of self. The mind, a relentless storyteller, weaves narratives that form the backdrop of our existence. These narratives are powerful, so much so that they can keep us entrenched in the identity of the observer, perpetually separated from the true essence of our being. Consider for a moment the nature of your thoughts. They arise, linger for a while, and then dissolve, much like waves on the ocean's surface. Each thought seems to carry a sense of I, an egoic center around which our experiences revolve. This I, however, is nothing more than a thought itself, a fleeting construct that gives a false sense of continuity and coherence to our experiences. The persistence of the observer identity is largely due to our identification with this I. We often hear inner narratives like, I am observing my thoughts, or I am aware of my emotions. These statements, while seemingly insightful, subtly reinforce the notion of a separate observer. It's as if there's a constant commentator in our heads narrating the story of our lives, keeping the character of the observer alive and active. But what happens when we start paying close attention to these thoughts? When we observe them not as an aloof observer but as an integral part of what's being observed, this is where the magic begins. We start to see that thoughts are just thoughts, ephemeral, insubstantial, and without an independent self. The solidity of the observer identity begins to crumble as we realize that the I in our thoughts is just another thought, a part of the passing show of consciousness. This realization brings a profound shift in perspective. We no longer view thoughts as definitive truths about who we are but as fleeting appearances in the vast sky of consciousness. The distinction between the observer and the observed starts to blur. We begin to experience moments where the commentator in our heads goes silent, and what remains is a pure, unmediated experience of life. We create space for a deeper insight to emerge. Thoughts are not the enemy. They are not something to be eliminated or transcended. Instead, they are to be understood for what they are: ripples in the ocean of consciousness, valuable in their own right but not definitive of the ocean's depth and expanse. In this crucial stage of our journey, we turn our attention to the power of inner dialogue in shaping our reality and its role in the manifestation of our deepest intentions. Understanding this aspect of consciousness is essential for moving beyond the observer identity and embracing a more integrated, authentic experience of our true nature. Inner dialogue, the continuous stream of thoughts and conversations we have with ourselves, is a potent force. It not only reflects our deepest beliefs and assumptions about the world, but also actively shapes our experience of reality. Every thought, every word we tell ourselves acts like a brushstroke on the canvas of our consciousness, painting the picture of the life we experience. Neville Goddard was a thinker who believed strongly in the power of our thoughts and feelings. Goddard thought that what we imagine in our minds can become real in our lives. He said that our inner conversations, the things we tell ourselves in our thoughts, have a big effect on what happens to us. According to Goddard, when we change our inner talk, we can change our lives. Goddard's ideas are simple but powerful. He suggested that if we want something, we should imagine as if we already have it. This isn't just wishing for things. It's more about feeling and believing that we already have what we want. For example, if you want to be happy and successful, you should start thinking and feeling like you are already happy and successful. However, this power is often wielded unconsciously. We get entangled in habitual patterns of thinking and speaking to ourselves, many of which reinforce the observer identity and our sense of separation from the world. Phrases like, "I can't," "I'm not good enough," or "this is just the way I am," are not mere words. They are affirmations of a limited self, a self that observes life from the sidelines, disempowered and detached. To transcend this, we must first become acutely aware of our inner dialogue. Mindfulness and self-inquiry are key tools in this process. They enable us to observe our thoughts and words with clarity and compassion, revealing the patterns that keep us trapped in the observer identity. Once we are aware of these patterns, the next step is to consciously shift our inner dialogue. This is not about suppressing or fighting our thoughts, but about gently steering them towards more empowering, inclusive narratives. It involves replacing limiting beliefs with affirmations of our interconnectedness, potential, and wholeness. For example, instead of thinking, "I am observing this situation," we might shift to, "I am part of this situation." This subtle change reflects a profound shift from separation to integration, from the observer to a participatory experience of life. The power of this shift is immense. It's like turning the rudder of a ship, redirecting the course of our journey. As our inner dialogue changes, so does our experience of reality. We start to manifest a life that reflects our true nature, one that is not limited by the narrow confines of the observer identity. Furthermore, this shift in inner dialogue opens us to the realization that we are co-creators of our reality. The world is not something that merely happens to us. It's a dynamic interplay of our consciousness and the fabric of life. This understanding empowers us to engage with life more fully, to manifest our deepest intentions, not as detached observers but as active, integral participants in the dance of existence. We have now arrived at the final and perhaps the most profound leg of our journey, embracing nothingness as consciousness. This is the pinnacle of our exploration, where the dissolution of the observer identity leads us into the heart of true awakening. Here, we confront the ultimate paradox and the deepest truth of our existence. The concept of nothingness often evokes a sense of emptiness or void, but in the realm of spiritual awakening, it signifies something far more significant. Nothingness here is not an absence but the very ground of being, the essence of consciousness itself. It's the realization that at the core of everything, beyond the layers of thoughts, emotions, identities, and forms, there is a profound stillness, a boundless expanse from which all of life emerges. This realization can be unsettling at first. The mind, accustomed to dealing with concepts and objects, finds it hard to grasp the idea of nothingness. It seeks to fill the void, to label and understand. But true understanding comes not from grasping but from letting go, not from adding more knowledge, but from shedding the layers of misconception. Embracing nothingness requires a radical shift in perspective. It asks us to let go of our habitual ways of seeing and being in the world. It's about releasing the grip of the ego, the constant need to define and differentiate. In this space of nothingness, the observer identity dissolves. There is no longer an I observing another. There is just pure being, an undivided wholeness. In this state, consciousness is no longer an abstract concept. It is our lived reality. We realize that consciousness is not something we have. It's what we are. This is the paradox of nothingness. It is empty of all things yet full of all existence. It's the canvas on which the dance of life is painted, yet it remains untouched and unblemished by the colors of experience. To embrace this understanding is to experience freedom in its truest sense. It's a liberation from the confines of the conditioned mind, from the illusion of separation. In this space, life flows with a natural ease. There is a harmony and spontaneity that arises when we align with the fundamental truth of our being. So as you step forward from here, carry with you the essence of what has been explored. Let it not just be a memory or a concept, but a living truth that guides your way. The journey of awakening does not end here. It continues in every breath, every step, every heartbeat. In embracing nothingness, you have opened yourself to a world of infinite possibilities, a reality where the observer merges with the observed, where the seeker becomes the sought, where you are finally home in the boundless heart of existence.